Yeah, but if you pronounce axe instead of the word ask, it's literally wrong. You're literally saying the wrong word. Actually, that's literally not correct. Like, that's literally not how the language is working. If somebody says, can I ask you a question? They're not saying the wrong word. They're not saying axe. They're saying axe. They're just not pronouncing it as ask. Tens of millions of native speakers of English pronounce it that way because it's totally acceptable. There are people in England who've been pronouncing it since Old English because it comes from the word axion, and they didn't change the order of the sounds. And then those sounds metathesized and switch places in some dialects of English, changing axion to askian, and that's how we got ask. So why would people in England who've been saying axe for 1,000 years be wrong when we're the one who switched the sounds to get ask? Ask was the version brought to America, and in the case of American dialects that say axe, the sounds metathesized again to go back to the original order. They went through the same process we went through to get to ask. So why would any one be more correct than the other? Just because that sound change has now resulted in that new pronunciation sounding like another word doesn't mean they're using that other word, okay? Nobody is saying, can I ask you a question, and thinking about an axe. Some words sound like other words. They're called homophones. They're very common. Here's a list of just a few, some of which you might use every day. If I say I can't touch the ceiling, am I using the wrong word? No, I didn't say ceiling, I said ceiling. And there are other dialect-specific sound changes that result in that accent having a homophone that doesn't exist in other accents. Let me give you an example. The pin-pen merger is when the S sound changes to an is sound before nasal consonants. It's especially common in Southern American English. I have a New Jersey accent, but I grew up mostly in Houston, so people with that merger stand out to me all the time. In fact, I did my senior research project on it for my bachelor's. If somebody says, hey, do you have a pin I can write with? I don't sit there thinking, why would they be asking for a pin? It's pretty obvious that they mean a pen, because even though the words sound the same in their accent but not in my accent, the context of the sentence makes it incredibly clear. Because the words don't mean the same thing and they're not used in the same way. Just because pin sounds like pin doesn't mean they're saying the word pin. Any fluent speaker of a language, especially one who is aware that that dialect has a merger that my dialect doesn't, should have no problem understanding it. One of my best friend's names is Ben, but in his accent he pronounces it bin. Is he using the wrong word when he says his own name? No, that wouldn't make any sense. Homophones are real, you use them every day, and sometimes homophones exist in some dialects but not in others, and that's okay. Axe is just as correct as ask, and that has always been the case in English. Every accent, every dialect, every language, the way everybody speaks around the world, no matter what the speakers look or sound like, are equally valid, correct, and beautiful.